Hello. I'm Yuli. Um, I've been stupid in coding for the past however long. Um, Basically, this is my first video that I'm ever producing on the internet, or at least on this account. Um, I am kind of a programmer, kind of not a programmer. It depends on when you ask me. Um, I also like linguistics a little bit. I like operating systems. I'm running FreeBSD at the moment. I have BSD on my laptop, and I have a Mac running Mac OS. I don't think it's the latest. It might be the latest. I'm not sure. But I just use it as a Unix machine, anyways. I like Plan 9. I like Inferno. I think they have very interesting operating systems. I've tried Haiku. I've tried Dragonfly BSD. There's a bunch of other operating systems I want to try. I used to use Linux, not anymore. Moved on from the sort of Linux shenanigans because they are generally more complicated than they need to be, and there's a lot more uh, odd behavior between distributions. So if I'm using Void Linux sometimes. So when I'm running Void Linux or when I'm running Alpine Linux, that experience is going to be different from running Debian or running Gentoo or running Crux, right? So I should outline why I'm making this video. I'm inspired to make sort of vlog, not vlog, like what's the word? Sort of rambling videos by some people who I follow on the internet, right? One is Osaka Syndrome, which is one of the more recent ones, in fact. And they produce some interesting personal-ish content. I find that appealing. I find it cool. I They are learning Spanish and Serbian, and I believe uh, Filipino, maybe? I could be wrong. Sorry. I remember um, Serbian and Spanish. I'm also trying to learn a language. I'm trying to learn Lojban, which is a language based on first order logic, and it's a very interesting language. I mean, I'm familiar a little bit with logic programming. Um, so a lot of the concepts are kind of intuitive to me because I know both kinds of logical programming. Sorry, logic programming. I know like the mini Canron style where um, really everything is sort of just a relation, and we're always talking about relations. Whereas Prolog is more like a logical engine. It has a lot more going on in the back. It can do side effects, it can sequence things, it can do concurrency, whereas really Miniconron is just dead simple for the most part. So, I mean, that's the appeal of it. It's just like you want a purely functional, like somewhat declarative kind of way of representing stuff. Well, we can build our own tiny little like backtracking thingy-majiggy, and you have basically the ability to do primitive logic programming in your favorite language, and then, well, that would be microcanron, and then you can build on top of that as much as you want, or as much as is possible. Um, uh, I'd also like to say, I'd like to say that I'm inspired by Will Bard, who is another fellow on the internet. He is well known for his mini Canron talks and scheme talks. He has some very popular talks on mini Canron, on scheme. He did some, I think they were called Tutorial Tuesdays, where it was basically introductory material to the scheme programming language. And he's published a book, I think a book, I don't know how many books, The Reason Schema, with, I think, okay, no, I'm not going to say who they are because I don't remember who they are, but but basically, Will is doing this sort of uh, YouTube like marathon kind of thing where he's trying to produce as much content as he can. I don't actually know the status of that. I might actually quickly figure that out. But basically, um, beginning with the new year, he's been uploading almost every day. Um, uh, apparently, apparently he's still going. He had some skips, as in like, okay, well, let's just take a break, and I think that's fine. Like, I mean, I think that's cool. I've been following a lot of them. Um, Videos have been getting shorter. It's mostly music. I'm not into music as much as, you know, other people. But regardless, I think that that's cool. And I think that since, you know, this is someone who I look up to, someone who I see as a very intelligent person. I mean, they're working on their sort of mini Canron book on relational interpreters, and I'm 100% going to be, you know, catching up with the progress of that. Um, so that's sort of one of my inspirations. I'm like, okay, well, if other people can do it, I can do it. I may as well. It's a good excuse for me to yap about whatever I'm interested in, rather than just being, you know, talking to myself in my room or whatever. Um, Melanie Melanie Fox. She is a interesting content creator, not related to programming whatsoever. She sort of does like wholesome, like life advice kind of stuff. I love her content. I've been watching her for a long time, and basically, uh, she sort of does like bedroom vlogging or whatever, which is, I mean, I suppose that was like early YouTube culture. It's just like, I'll sit in your bedroom and like get a camera, get a microphone, and just like record. I'm not doing that because I don't have such a nice, easy to use setup like a bedroom. Uh, so, but I mention her because she is very calm, very nice. I want people to like. I would just sit there, maybe on 2 times speed. I usually listen to things on 2 times speed, um, and just hear it and usually hear it while I'm doing something else. And I'm like, wow, this is interesting. This is insightful. This is like wholesome, and I appreciate wholesomeness. Um, so maybe this YouTube shenanigan thingy is going to be similar to sort of an amalgamation of these three people, you know, like honesty, commitment, and genuine like wholesomeness, and you know, I'm open to any critique or whatever, like, and I'm open to being discussing things, right? That's sort of what I want out of this. Anyways, so the third thing I wanted to go through, or yeah, I suppose it's the third thing on my list, anyways. Um, I like programming language theory. I like mathematics, kind of, not really. Um, I like operating systems. I mentioned before, I like Plan 9, I like Limbo. They are very interesting operating systems, and they are something that I'm definitely going to invest a lot of time into in the near future. Starting with a Plan 9 mail server and doing some Inferno hacking, maybe also doing some YouTube content on the Inferno operating system. Um, and I mean, Plan 9 has already a plethora of content related to uh, Plan 9. For example, Adventures in 9. Ori has some posts. Also, Ori is an incredible dude. Mirrodin is a programming language that he's working on, and I'm going to be learning that in the near future. And that will be uh, my primary systems level programming language for Plan 9 um, after C, right? But I mean, if I can avoid C, I'll avoid C. Um, I'm not a huge fan of C, unfortunately. I wish I was, but I'm not smart enough to really get C. Um, I want to make my own programming language and programming language system. When I say system, I'm more referring to an Inferno style system rather than like, oh, we have a good IDE integration. No, I want like sort of a separated layer on top of my programming language. And it's going to have a virtual machine. It's going to be portable to almost all architectures I am able to get documentation for, and figure out where it can go, where it can't go. Um, and the intention of that is to be mainly pedagogical, as in I want to make a language that is usable by both not professionals. I don't think there's any professionals, but I think both theorists and students. It's going to be multi-paradigm. It's going to support logic programming, functional programming, imperative programming, uh, likely data flow programming, and array programming. Um, I mean, it's going to be both concurrent. It's going to be concurrent, obviously. It's going to be parallel, uh, and it will have likely algebraic effects. Simply because I think algebraic effects are a lot more elegant than some other approaches. Um, the language will be obviously eager, so the motivation for having um, a uh, I/O like sort of algebraic effect is mainly for like sort of a contract kind of design, because I like using types as contracts. As much as I love having preconditions and postconditions like whole logic style, as you would in Daphne, or as you would in uh, any other thing really based on like SMT software, right? Rather than using those, well, yeah, rather than hooking that up into my thing, since it's mainly for imperative languages, I'd rather sort of model uh, a lot of the constraints of what the program should do in the type system without being dependently typed. I don't have a problem with dependent types. I just think introducing them makes the language exponentially more complicated and slightly harder to reason about. I mean, you first of all introduce like non-termination into the type system, which is not good. Like, we don't want non-terminating type systems. We want the program to, type check at least and give an error if not. Otherwise, we don't want it to just trail into nothing, right? Um, anyways, I mean, you could probably catch some of those depending on how like to what extent your language is dependently typed. Oops, shit, my screen. Okay. Um, you can probably mitigate that somehow. I'm not a professional programming language designer. I don't know how to do that. Um, anyways, next future project I wanted to do, I want to do formal verification, a lot of formal verification. I plan on formally verifying almost all of my software that I produce. At least usable software, right? Not just arbitrary bullshit like, oh, I'm gonna go and formalize my shell script. Like, no. But when it's something serious and something like, I'm gonna distribute this and I want someone to actually use it, it will absolutely be used for, or it will absolutely be verified. And at least whatever aspects I need to be verified, I need to make sure that the behavior is consistent entirely, right? That's how I wish software was done, and that's sort of the message that I want to perpetuate to other software developers. I'm not a software developer, um, but if I was one, it would be, or if I had any influence in that field, I would be like, everyone just formally verify your software, boot it up in Daphne, export it to Go, export it to C#, export it to Java, whatever. Whatever Java uses, their stupid SMT solver thing. I would, I mean, yeah, basically, verify your software. Do it in Isabelle, do it in Light, do it in whatever you need. Do it in Lean even. Lean exports to C, I'm pretty sure, which is actually really cool. Or Agda. I think that's sort of the way that the world should be moving now that we have the capacity to do such things. Maybe, I mean, back in LCF kind of days where everything was just, okay, let's go and build like this theorem prover. It's going to be hefty. It's going to run on these big machines, right? But we're using that for mathematics, right? But software is more complicated than mathematics, usually. So things like Daphne and sort of the computational power we have now, and maybe innovations in GPUs. I know that's a big like hit thing. I mean, I'm not sort of familiar with it, but with GPUs, maybe GPU acceleration of specific like compiler tasks, if you will. That would be fun. I think that would be good and beneficial to society because we have so much compute in these like little, not little, like these big blocks of trans. I don't know anything about hardware. Sorry, like these big blocks of silicon, right? Um, there's a lot going on in them, and maybe utilization for specific, I mean, kind of like APL style, optimizing. There is Futhark, something like that. That's like a very interesting example. But I think that's more of a run. I mean, I'm not familiar with it, so I'm not going to comment on that. Anyways, final thing I wanted to do, I want to do a lot of limbo work, as in I want to develop an actual ecosystem for at least the parts of limbo that I care about. That means I'm going to probably build several little interpreters, like probably a mini little ML for the disk virtual machine, and potentially porting the disk virtual machine to like a native kind of architecture, uh, and enabling it to run sort of outside of this very secluded environment called, the Limbo virtual machine with the window manager. I mean, it bundles TK, like you can't really escape, so to speak, the Limbo and Inferno experience is all coupled together in a nice package, and sometimes modularizing it might be a better idea, right? But no blame, no hate. Inferno was designed pretty incredibly. Reading through the spec briefly, is very interesting. It's like a genuinely simple imperative virtual machine, and it's probably relatively trivial to translate it to machine instructions. So in sort of a language agnostic way, right? Not language, architecture agnostic. So, okay. That was basically all I wanted to say. I think. I mean, that's all I wrote down. If I think of anything else, I'll probably bring it up. I'm going to make a website soon in the Euro programming language. The Euro programming language is sort of like standard ML. I mean, I do standard ML most of the time. Standard ML sort of, it's built in standard ML. Your is built in standard ML, and your sort of extends standard ML with some like Haskell features. I'm pretty sure it has higher like kinded types, and maybe not higher kinded. Well, they have kinds at least. So you have types as not first class values, but at least as values, right? They're not they sort of distinct from types, and type constructors you can just create, I think, arbitrarily, like functions, which is interesting. And I think, and it has role polymorphism, so kind of like PureScript. PureScript has that. I'm aware. Well, I'm not totally aware. I think there are libraries for Scala that have it too, but I'm not a Scala developer per se. So I'm not sure, but anyways, I think it's good to have that built in. They have like built-in HTML, built-in SQL. Like, it's a very neat language. I mean, it's not changing, so it's not like you're gonna have a brand new framework dropping every 3 minutes, like the JavaScript ecosystem. And you don't really need to keep track of, what we need, what we don't need. I just want a simple website, right? That's all I want. And I mean, it could just be HTML, but I think doing something and experimenting with technologies that are available is a good idea, so long as everything's open source. It's fine. And if I provide a HTML like alternative site, like an alternative landing page for people who don't use JavaScript, because I want to support them, right? Good idea, honestly. Ideally, at least part of the website will be Mothra compatible. So you're working in your Plan 9 system, and you're like, well, maybe I want to see Yuli's little blog thingy, and it's like, okay, go ahead, we'll make it, work. So that's what I wanted to say, like sort of my announcement, what I want to get into. I will probably be doing Lojban soon. I'm what page? I'm on page 17 of the Lojban book. and I will continue learning about Lojban. I also want to read. Oh, I want to do more programming, I guess, on this channel. That's sort of the idea of the channel, right? I want to do programming because programming is cool. Maybe also operating systems, tinkering with NetBSD. I mean, my NetBSD machine's kind of fucked at the moment, so I'm probably going to reinstall, but build it from source, of course, because much easier to debug a system when you have the actual source code on you and you aren't just, like, Googling and saying what the fuck is going on. And contacts. So I wrote this down in my thingy. Contact me on Matrix, ideally. I also have Signal, but I'm not going to share that. You can contact me via my temporary email. It's not my permanent email. I'm buying a domain like in a very short amount of time, so getting that email server hosted, probably going to be hosted on Plan 9, by the way. Getting that hosted is probably not going to take forever, so you can contact me via that new one. I will refresh it in my About Me. I am on LiberaChat sometimes, and also OFTC, and I plan on joining other IRC servers, like, maybe some specialized ones that would be interesting. Maybe Ryzen, maybe on the net, whatever it is. Like, I will be more active there than on any other contacts. I do have a Discord. You can check my bio for that one, but I'm probably not going to share that. I have source code, by the way. So, sorry, I'm on my FreeBSD machine. Maybe I don't have it on this machine. Okay, no, I don't have it on this machine, but I do have source code. All of that is in a remote upstream. I think I can actually get the thing. So most of it is on Hub. Well, most of my new software is going to be here on Docs because it's version control systems. But it will be obviously very tedious to actually, port all my Git stuff to Docs, right? I don't want to do that, honestly. Couldn't be bothered. So I still have a code bug. This is my code. I have a JavaScript error. Cool. I did, obviously, here's the stuff I like, StandardML, Raku, Isabel, StandardML. We've got everything. This is sort of just a collection. I'm working through CTM. If you're interested in learning CTM with me, you want like a summarize, well, not really summarize, it's more like a recounting of the book, want me to tell you everything that I find interesting about the book? Here it is. Enjoy. It's written in org mode. I've sort of stopped using Emacs. I mean, I still have it, actually, speaking of which. But I mainly use Cocoon. I've been using Cocoon for a lot longer than I've been using GNU Emacs. But Emacs is nice if you want to get, I don't know, like 12 is usable in Emacs, Lean is usable in Emacs. I stopped using Lean after a while, but whatever. Raku works in Emacs. It doesn't work in Cocoon, so throw that out of the window. I mean, I don't need syntax highlighting per se, but still, I mean, I'm happy to run Aku. There's another editor, actually, by the way. It's kind of like Cocoon and Acme, and I will definitely do like a little review of that if I remember. I already forgot what I'm gonna say. Emacs. I do use Emacs. I do use Cocoon. If you want, I will eventually release an Emacs config if that's interesting. I have my Cocoon config on this website. It's hard to find now. Okay. I don't know why it's being weird like that. I have my Cocoon little configuration. It supports Idris. I stopped using Idris a while ago, so you can sort of tell that it's kind of out of date. In my own config, I disabled it. but I have, my custom digraphs, which are useful, right? If you want to have subtyping, I have my subtyping symbols, natural numbers, reals, integers, whatever. I don't know why I'm showing this off. You can check it yourself, but still, you can use my cocoon config. I have it in my little bio, not my bio, uh, my thumbnail. That's what it's called. A thumbnail. I have it there, and I think that is basically really all I wanted to say. Uh, in fact, I will end. I will. My website will likely be hosted. I will send the link wherever it is. Reach out if you want to know where my website is. If you want an email, maybe I will offer an email. I'm happy to do that. Um, it's not going to be good, but whatever. I mean, giving back to the community that I don't have. Um, that'd be fun. Uh, and yeah, thank you. Thank you for listening to my rambles. I will probably be doing more of these. I don't really, like, I'm not gonna, review them. It doesn't really matter to me. It's just a chance for me to talk about things, and things are cool. And I think that we should all be more open to random bullshit discussions, right? Um, and if you want to chat with me, if you want to reach out to me, I'm not a I'm happy to chat. Like if you can get Jitsi working, I will probably join that, and it will be fun. Um, I will get back to doing whatever I was doing before this. Um, and and goodbye, and thank you for watching, and y'all are cool, and I love you all. Bye bye.